All right. Thank you for tuning back into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about. We also talked about our WWE NXT review, our AEW Dynamite preview. We also talked about Jordan Grace opening up the Forbidden Door. Fourth segment, we will talk about Brock Lesnar's ban in the WWE has officially been lifted. What does that mean for Brock Lesnar? What does that mean for WWE? What does that mean for the Janel Grant Vince McMahon case, which is obviously like huge and still prominent in the world of wrestling today? So let's go ahead and jump right on into it. So Brock Lesnar, his name has been lifted from the WWE list ban. Obviously, Vince McMahon's name's still kind of banned as well, but you can kind of see his reference, his name being kind of lifted on TV. But it's been told that he's still on hiatus. He's not going to make it back to the WWE anytime soon or the world of wrestling, which is kind of smart. After what happened, you kind of want to take a little bit of a break, so to speak. And is it possible that he could be going to TNA, which is a huge possibility? Or could he be going to back to the WWE, which I kind of, I don't really kind of see. Could he be stalling for a Vince McMahon comeback for a different wrestling promotion? Because Vince McMahon, obviously, like I did a podcast about this before. He's a huge egomaniac, wants to leave wrestling on his own terms, loves to be just the man, and like, oh, it'd be so terrible if he came back into the WWE. Being brutally honest, I respect what Vince did for the WWF Attitude Era and the Stone Cold Steve Austin, kind of feud and stuff like that. Respect how he brought him and his family into certain aspects of wrestling and storylines that a lot of people wouldn't do. They pushed the envelope a hell of a lot. So respect the McMahon family 110%. So yeah. Lesnar's name was mentioned by Michael Cole talking about the King and Queen of the Ring. You also saw Paul Heyman mention Brock Lesnar's name multiple times in his Hall of Fame speech. So what could possibly be next for Brock Lesnar? Um, he was supposed to make an entrance. He's supposed to be an entrant in the WWE Royal Rumble. Obviously, that did not happen. Gunther is still waiting in the wings. He's been, reported as thinking that Brock Lesnar is ultimately the final boss, and that would be a huge match. That would be a huge damn match because both of these guys are physical specimens. They tower over people. They're so powerful. They're so dominating. It'd be absolutely freaking cool to find out, who will be who. And I don't know. In my personal opinion, if I had to put myself in Brock Lesnar's shoes, or if I was his public relations representative, I'd be like, dude, like, do you really want to go back to wrestling? Do you want to go back to all this? Like, I know, like, this is your passion, and I know you're still in good shape. I don't think you're really in your prime yet. And at that point, he punched me in the face. I'm just kidding. No, I'd be like, do you like? I don't know. Do you really want to come back to wrestling? I don't think so. He's been through so much BS lately. The Janel Grant allegations, his liking. He wants to only be in WWE if Vince McMahon is attached to it, and he can't be really ventured into any WWE title pictures at this moment. He already had his feud with Cody Rhodes. Him and Roman Reigns, if they come back and fight each other again, that'd be boring as hell. And if he comes back and just starts dominating people for the Intercontinental Championship, that would be so stupid. That'd be the worst decision by WWE. So honestly, I can go out on a limb, and although this might sound stupid because Brock Lesnar, obviously when he's in the ring, people pay attention, they buy pay-per-views, they buy tickets, they buy merchandise. But I think WWE doesn't really need Brock Lesnar anymore. And I know they might be hot. It might be a hot take. Might be kind of, I hope you guys, don't scrutinize me too much. But I don't know. I think Brock Lesnar's best bet is to just, try to find something different. I think the WWE is far in his rearview mirror. I think so much just BS has gone down, just so much stuff. And I just think, just if you have a chance to kind of wave it all goodbye, right now he's not in too much, deep crap with the WWE universe. He's respected still to a certain extent. But everything with the Janelle Grant case has been absolutely crazy toward him and Vince McMahon. But ultimately, you kind of do it to yourself. You create your own demons. And that's including John Laurinaitis as well. So, I'm, definitely not sticking up for these guys. Definitely don't condone their actions toward, the allegations of sexual trafficking and stuff like that. Ultimately, like if you do the crime, you got to do the time, bro. And honestly, think it's time for you to leave the WWE. If you want to get back into the wrestling world, try to get back. There's no doubt in my mind that I don't. If I was Tony Khan, I don't even know if I would want this guy in my promotion. He's not the best wrestler. He does put on good matchups, not because of his in-ring capabilities. He puts on good matchups basically solely, and just picking on his name. Brock Lesnar. You see Brock Lesnar. You read the headline. This guy was a UFC World Champion, WWE Champion, Universal Champion. This guy's. I think he was the king in the ring at one point too. And like, I don't know. I just don't think that it's time for Brock Lesnar to come back to wrestling. I think if he does come back, it would be on a hell of a lot of a lighter note. So, still kind of doubting toward it, but whatever. I guess whatever happens. If he does come back to the WWE, I feel like they would kind of use him as like a way to kind of push superstars over, or perhaps maybe he like mentors, or maybe he's like a manager. Paul Heyman, like I mentioned this before too in the podcast, like Paul Heyman's future. Once when he kicked, eventually Paul Heyman will be kicked out of the bloodline. It's just a matter of time, and then maybe you might have Brock Lesnar there to kind of help start from scratch, but it's not going to start from scratch. Brock Lesnar could never ever start from scratch because of his name, because he's just this big dude that's been in main events. If Brock Lesnar comes back in the WWE as an Intercontinental Champion or like a mid Carter, everybody in the WWE universe will just kind of see through this thin layer of BS and be like, dude, like we just see what you're trying to do. You're trying to drive up ticket sales, and you bring this guy back thinking that it's going to help. And honestly, I don't think it's going to help at all. I think it's best for Brock Lesnar probably to retire from the WWE. But that's just me. That's just me, of course. And the reason why he kind of made it back to WWE, he did make some of the titles prestigious, but so his reputation right now just eliminates the best thing about him, and that's his name. His reputation. The way that if Brock Lesnar holds a belt, everybody was like, "Oh shoot, this title must be the crap." But now you kind of see him holding the title, you're like, yeah, Brock Lesnar had this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not the same. It's not the same, and it never will be heading forward through the WWE or maybe even the professional wrestling spectrum. But, obviously, I don't want to throw shade at any, wrestling superstar because, I've never been in that position. I've never been, I'm not in his shoes. I don't know what he's going through and stuff like that. So I'm like, you know what, dude? Like, if you think you can make a comeback, and I doubt Paul Levesque would ever take him back. But I don't know. I just think it would be pretty bad for WWE if Brock Lesnar comes back. So I think they should just, kind of let Brock be Brock. Accept him for what he was. Maybe throw him in the Hall of Fame if the allegations are untrue or whatever. But I would say don't mess with it. Don't touch it with a 20-foot freaking pole. So we're going to finish. We have our fifth and final segment, Nick Nemet's WWE departure. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about how he was ultimately in an abusive relationship with WWE being the abuser. So, hey, don't go anywhere.